So I basically lost my job, no way of funding my addiction anymore. And I quickly realized, right, I'm going to have to try to get out of this mess. What I would say, and this was the same for in work and at home, that it was so relentless and so grinding, and the changes were so slow that there wasn't this big jump where people jumped in and said it. So over and over, my mom would say, "What are you doing? What are you going to get yourself together?" They all knew, but like I was always saying, they knew I was on methadone. They knew I take tablets, but I was always saying I don't do heroin anymore. And of course, I was doing heroin every single day. But I was always saying I'm trying to reduce my methadone. I created these narratives and these stories to keep people away. I said I'd take out this machine gun of verbal diarrhea and I'd walk away feeling exhausted listening to you. So I had this ability to keep people away with words, and people were just exhausted. So it was very hard to penetrate that, and it was nearly pointless in anyone saying anything to me. And in the workplace, it was my boss sort of inherited me as a problem, and he was a really good friend. And it was only when we merged with another company that this other company were in this big open plan office. And it was only these new people, because all of a sudden they came in and just seeing this person. At this stage, I could barely function. I was barely staying awake for 8 hours. I was falling asleep at my desk. And people were saying, "What's the story with that fella? Like, what's actually going on here? How is he? He's working in the pharma industry." So I quickly got into trouble in the workplace and I lost my job. And that was sort of the catalyst for a succession of things that happened in quick succession that created this change, this shift in perspective that I had. But as you said, it came through a lot of pain. So I basically lost my job, no way of funding my addiction anymore. And I quickly realized, right, I'm going to have to try to get out of this mess. Like I was forced to face this challenge for the first time. And I realized as well, I don't know how cognitively aware of this I was, but I just knew the drugs were just not working anymore. Like they were not doing the job that they once did. They were certainly not a solution. They weren't medicating, they weren't numbing, they were making my mental health worse, not better. It was very obvious. So I was really trapped and I had to do something different. So for the first time in my life, I sort of said, right, I think I'm gonna have to get off drugs. Even though I didn't believe I could live in the world, I didn't think I could cope with anxiety without drugs, but I had to try it. I had to try something different.